Hello, and welcome back to Drama Recapper. Today, I'll be recapping Weak Hero Class 1, a terrific series about high school bullying. Watch carefully and take care. The story begins in a classroom, let's call it Class 1, where Yeon Si-eun, the most serious student, hits his hand on the desk. Si-eun comes from a family that barely acknowledges his achievements or emotional struggles. His father is an athlete who is always away for competitions, while his mother only showcases his academic excellence online without contributing to it. Though physically weak, Si-eun is highly intelligent, reserved, and always wears a stern expression. He dominates every academic competition and remains the top student. In the same class is Ahn Soo-ho, the complete opposite. He couldn't care less about academics, works as a delivery man after school, and sleeps through lessons. However, he possesses incredible physical strength, having trained in MMA. Then there's Jeon Yongbin, the class's worst bully, leading a group that specializes in tormenting others. The tension begins when Si-eun wins a math competition. That same day, Yongbin intentionally throws a shoe at him, but claims it is a mistake. Se-eun sternly warns him not to do it again. Instead of backing off, Yongbin tries to bully him, only to realize that Se-eun isn't an easy target. The next day, during physical training, Si-eun nearly collapses on the field. As expected, Yongbin and his gang mock him, but Si-eun confronts them with a final warning. Suddenly, one of Yongbin's friends chokes him until a teacher intervenes. That night, Soo-ho accidentally delivers a meal to Si-eun's apartment. Realizing his mistake, he asks for water before leaving. Meanwhile, a new student, Oh Beom-seok, joins their class. He is the adopted son of a wealthy assemblyman, but is timid due to past abuse by his father. When Yongbin approaches Beom-seok to recruit him, he rests on Si-eun's desk. Si-eun tries to send him off, but he is stubborn. As Si-eun grips his pen, ready to retaliate, Soo-ho wakes up and stops the fight. Feeling humiliated, Yongbin devises a new plan. Since Si-eun treasures academics, the best way to break him is through his studies. Yongbin enlists his cousin, Seok-dae, who coincidentally attended Beom-seok's former school. Seok-dae reveals that Beom-seok was bullied there and also gives him a drug that can make Si-eun not do well in his exam. On exam day, Yongbin blackmails Beom-seok with the knowledge of his past bullying and forces him to drug Si-eun. Beom-seok complies. As the test begins, Si-eun starts feeling dizzy, but quickly realizes he's been drugged. Slapping himself to regain focus, he struggles, but fails to complete the exam properly. After the test, Si-eun snaps. Enraged, he attacks Yongbin, stabbing his friend with a pen, choking Yongbin, and nearly smashing his head. Just before he goes too far, Soo-ho wakes up and intervenes. In anger, Si-eun turns on Soo-ho, attacking him as well. Fortunately, the teacher arrives just in time to stop the fight. Yongbin is rushed to the hospital, and his furious mother vows to make Si-eun pay for what he did. However, Si-eun reveals the drug Yongbin had on him, then opens Yongbin's bag to expose the stash of drugs he's been using. Caught off guard, Yongbin's mother realizes the consequences. If the school committee finds out, her son will be expelled. To avoid that, she quickly negotiates, opting to cover it up and have Yongbin transferred instead. Back at school, Yongbin's gang tries to intimidate Si-eun again, but he drags them into the restroom for a final warning. Using his knowledge of physics, he repeatedly clicks his pen, triggering their memory of the pain they suffered the day before. Fear washes over them, and they back down, but Yongbin refuses to quit. Desperate for revenge, he hires Seok-dae to teach Si-eun a lesson. Meanwhile, on his way home, Si-eun runs into Soo-ho and apologizes for hitting him. In response, Soo-ho tells him to make it up by treating him to a meal. As they eat, Soo-ho reveals that the only reason he even comes to school, even if it's just to sleep, is to earn a perfect attendance diploma for his grandmother. After school, Beom-seok tries to befriend Si-eun, but Si-eun bluntly rejects him. As he walks away, he runs into Yongbin and Seok-dae. The tension is high. Panicked, Beom-seok rushes to Soo-ho, begging him to help, but Soo-ho insists he has to go to work. Desperate, Beom-seok offers to pay him double, and Soo-ho agrees. At the fight scene, Si-eun knows his only chance is to strike first. He grabs a flower pot and smashes it over Seok-dae's head before throwing sand in the other's eyes. He tries to escape, but Seok-dae recovers quickly and knocks him down. Weakened, Si-eun struggles as Yongbin steps in to finish him off. Just in time, Soo-ho arrives and turns the tables. With his strength, he easily overpowers Yongbin and his gang. Embarrassed, Seok-dae abandons Yongbin and walks away. Once again, Si-eun warns Yongbin to stop coming after him, but Yongbin never learns. As they leave, Suho insists that Seon join him and Byung-seok for dinner since they saved him. Reluctantly, Seon agrees. Suho ropes them into helping with his part-time job, while Byung-seok takes the opportunity to apologize for his betrayal. That night, they eat together before heading home. For the first time, Si-eun has friends. Let's just hope it lasts. Unknown to them, Seok-dae and his entire squad work for a ruthless moneylender named Gil-soo. When Gil-soo hears about the fight, he punishes Seok-dae again, furious that he lost. As the weekend arrives, Suho and Byung-seok insist that Si-hun go out with them. They play games, have dinner, and even try to drag him out for drinks. But Si-hun refuses and heads home. That same day, Gil-soo meets Seok-dae, who now has a cast on his hand. Not from the fight, but from beating by Gil-soo. Gil-soo meets Seok-dae and asks for a favor. On his way home, Si-hun stops at a store to buy an umbrella and unexpectedly runs into Young-yi, a girl who hangs around Seok-dae. They exchange numbers before parting ways because she claims she has a crush on him. The next day, Young-bin suddenly returns to school, begging the trio to meet with his lawyer and lie that the drugs weren't his, so he can be reinstated. With tears in his eyes, he pleads with them, and they reluctantly follow, only to be lured into a trap set by Gil-soo and his gang. Gil-soo accuses them of attacking Seok-dae and demands they pay a hefty sum within 3 days. To show he is serious, he slashes Suho's arm. For 2 days, Gil-soo's men stalk the trio, leaving them on edge. Seon meets with Young-yi to gather information, and she warns him that Gil-soo is dangerous. The next day, Byung-seok arrives at school carrying the money and cash. But Suho insists they should report everything to the police instead. Before making a decision, Si-eun reveals what he learned from Young-yi. Gil-soo runs an illegal gambling app targeting students. The system tricks players into winning big before forcing them into massive losses, pushing them to borrow money using their parents' property as collateral. Gil-soo then blackmails the parents to extort large sums of money. With this knowledge, the trio hatches a plan. They decide to call the police on Gil-soo, but first, Suho insists on meeting him in person. Instead of handing over the money, Suho offers Gil-soo advice on how to grow his gambling site, pretending to negotiate. He invites Gil-soo to continue their discussion at his home. Young-yi secretly gives Seon the address, so while Byung-seok goes alone, Seon contacts the police. Unfortunately, Gil-soo figures out their plan. At his house, he mercilessly beats Suho until he collapses, then captures Byung-seok as well. By the time Si-eun arrives with the police, the place is empty. The officers leave, but Si-eun breaks inside, searching for the vault where Young-yi said the account book is kept, but he finds it empty. He immediately realizes something has gone wrong. Gil-soo discovers that Seok-dae's gang has betrayed him. Furious, he orders Seok-dae to come to their new hideout. Seok-dae doesn't want to go with Young-yi. Despite this, Young-yi secretly calls Si-eun, shares her location, and follows Seok-dae anyway. Upon receiving the call, Si-eun immediately rushes there with the police. At the hideout, Gil-soo has Suho and Byung-seok tied up. When Seok-dae arrives, Gil-soo mercilessly beats him. Fortunately, the police arrive just in time, forcing Seok-dae and his gang to flee since they have also done illegal work for Gil-soo, to know that staying would mean getting arrested. Gil-soo, however, manages to escape the officers. Si-eun chases after him. When he finally catches up, Gil-soo hits him. So-eun is overpowered, but Suho arrives. Together, they overpower Gil-soo, but Suho takes heavy injuries in the process. Furious and hurt, he blames Si-eun for dragging him into this mess. The police arrest Gil-soo. Seok-dae also surrenders himself so that his gang won't be implicated. While Si-eun receives medical treatment, Suho is admitted to the hospital. Byung-seok later visits them before heading to the police station with Si-eun. However, Byung-seok's father quietly pulls strings behind the scenes, handling the situation through his secretary. At the station, the secretary instructs Byung-seok to take out his anger on Gil-soo by hitting him. But Byung-seok, too timid to act, walks away in frustration. Meanwhile, Si-hun meets up with Young-yi, and they both go to check on Suho at the hospital. With nowhere to sleep, Young-yi asks to stay there. Si-hun doesn't say much, but later brings food for them. As he watches them eat, he smiles for the first time. Elsewhere, Byung-seok returns home to a nightmare, as his father beat him brutally. Byung-seok is no stranger to being beaten, but the constant abuse starts to take a toll on him. After recovering from his injuries, he returns to school and reconnects with the boys. He also learns about Young-yi staying with Suho and becomes curious. Later, he scrolls through Suho's Instagram and finds Young-yi's page. That weekend, they all meet up, but Byung-seok can't shake the feeling of being an outsider, especially when he notices how engrossed Young-yi is with Suho. During karaoke, he steps out to get a drink and bumps into his former bullies. Panicked, he runs away. When he returns, he finds out Young-yi answered his phone in his absence. Furious, he nearly hits her. But Suho steps in and stops him. The bullies also show up at the venue, but Si-eun sends them away. Concerned, the group asks Byung-seok if he's okay, and he insists he is. However, the next day at school, his frustration explodes and he snaps at a classmate, and when Suho tries to calm him down, he angrily tells him to back off. That weekend, the boys have their usual hangout and repeatedly try calling Byung-seok, but he refuses to pick up. After their game, they decide to visit him at home. As they look at his family photos, Suho comments on how happy they seem, but Byung-seok reveals the truth. He was adopted to boost his father's political image. When they ask what's wrong, painful memories of his past bullying resurface. Suho suggests confronting his bullies and demanding an apology. They track one of them down at a karaoke bar, where Suho forces the bully to apologize. But it's not enough for Byung-seok. He wants to hit the guy himself. When he does, the bully retaliates, knocking off his glasses. Furious, Suho steps in and overpowers the bully, but Byung-seok insists on handling things on his own. He grabs a microphone, ready to throw it, but Suho stops him and pleads with him to let it go. Instead of feeling supported, Byung-seok gets angry. He accuses Suho of interfering and asks if Suho wants money for helping him. This angers Suho, who grabs him in frustration, but Si-eun steps in before things escalate further. Byung-seok walks away, ignoring Si-eun's attempts to stop him. While wandering, he runs into a classmate hanging out with a gang. Soon, his former bullies show up again, ready to harass him. Before he can react, the gang takes it upon themselves to fight his bullies, easily overpowering them. As the fight ends, Byung-seok steps forward. Remembering the pain of his father's beatings, he attacks the bullies himself. Afterward, he follows the gang to a club, where he treats them to drinks. He then unfollows Suho on Instagram and fully embraces his new persona, flirting with girls and drinking recklessly. Byung-seok seems determined to change, but will his friends be able to bring him back before it's too late? Byung-seok arrives at school late the next day, barely acknowledging his former friends. After class, he immediately rushes off to meet his new crowd. When Si-eun approaches him for a discussion, Byung-seok coldly claims he has nothing to say, accusing Suho of looking down on him and acting like a king. Suho overhears this and is hurt. That night, Byung-seok visits a club and runs into Youngbin. Seizing the chance, he badmouths Suho to him. Eager to fit in, Byung-seok fully immerses himself in his new lifestyle, spending lavishly on his so-called friends, treating them to clubs, drinks, and anything they want, all in exchange for their respect. Si-eun quickly realizes they're just using Byung-seok and tells Suho, who claims that is exactly what Byung-seok wanted. People he can control with money. The next day at school, Si-eun confronts the group, threatening them to stop exploiting Byung-seok. However, they claim he's willingly offering them everything. During lunch, Byung-seok and his gang try to cut the line, but Suho stops them, forcing them to go back. Byung-seok refuses, and when Suho pushes him back, things nearly escalate into a fight before Si-eun steps in to stop them. Humiliated, Byung-seok starts plotting his revenge. He asks his new gang if they know anyone who can take Suho down. They introduce him to a fighter, and Byung-seok pays him to stage a brutal ambush on Suho's birthday, planning to stream it live. To make things even worse, he and his gang tamper with Suho's bike brakes before his delivery shift. That night, Suho gets into an accident, injuring his leg. The next morning, he still drags himself to school, where he directly tells Byung-seok, "I hate you." On his birthday, Byung-seok repeatedly calls Suho, trying to lure him out, but Suho ignores him. Undeterred, Byung-seok texts Young-yi, lying that he has a birthday gift for Suho and asking her to pick it up, without telling Suho or Si-eun. Young-yi casually mentions the text to Si-eun, but, seeing it's about a gift, lies that she's just heading to the store. The moment she arrives, Byung-seok and his gang ambush and capture her. Si-eun happens to be near Suho's phone when Byung-seok sends a message with Young-yi's picture and an address, demanding Suho come to fight. Si-eun quickly replies that he's on his way, then deletes the message and turns off Suho's phone. When Si-eun arrives, he tries to escape with Young-yi, but Youngbin and his gang chase him down. Forced to fight, Si-eun overpowers them, but when the hired fighter arrives, the tables turn. The wrestler mercilessly beats Si-eun down. Byung-seok, pretending to show concern, tells the fighter to stop, claiming he has no real issue with Si-eun. But when the fighter asks if Si-eun is his friend, Byung-seok hesitates. Realizing he would lose face if he backed down, he lets them continue beating Si-eun until the police arrive. Meanwhile, Suho wakes up in an empty house. When the police arrive, Young-yi explains what happened. But Si-eun insists that nothing serious occurred and refuses to press charges. He also begs Young-yi not to tell Suho. Later, he calls Beom-seok, pleading with him to stop his actions and leave Suho alone. That night, Si-eun recalls his childhood, how he was often sick and overheard his father telling his mother that he regretted having him, saying he didn't expect a child who required so much attention. That rejection shaped Si-eun into the lonely person he is today. Meanwhile, Beom-seok's father's secretary instructs his assistant to start looking for a school in the Philippines, planning to send Beom-seok abroad after receiving a police report about the incident. The next day, Si-eun doesn't come to school. He messages Suho that he has a family emergency. This absence stretches for several days until Suho notices that Beom-seok is also missing. He confronts Beom-seok's gang and tells them he knows they tampered with his bike, demanding they call Beom-seok to pay for the repairs. Frustrated, the gang tries calling Beom-seok, but he doesn't answer. Annoyed, they talk about not even knowing if Si-eun survived the fight. Suho overhears this and realizes the truth. He beats them until they confess everything. He then rushes to Young-ye, who confirms that Si-eun was hospitalized but had been discharged. Determined, Suho visits Si-eun, who tries to hide his caste. Meanwhile, Beom-seok faces his father's wrath once again. His father beats him and coldly tells him to leave the country and die if he wants. Desperate, Beom-seok flees his house taking a cab. On the way, he gets several messages from Suho, who has captured his gang members. Finally, he calls Suho, who demands to know his location. Instead of meeting him directly, Beom-seok lures him to the gym and arranges a fight with the wrestler he had paid earlier. At the same time, Young-yi, realizing what's happening, calls Si-eun to warn him that Suho has found out. Si-eun arrives at the gym, not intending to fight. Instead, he apologizes to Beom-seok for making him angry, but urges him to also apologize to Young-yi and Suho. However, the situation escalates when the wrestler, who had actually trained with Suho in the past, challenges Suho to a fight. Suho tells Beom-seok that if he really paid the guy, then he pities him. Despite having been out of training for a long time, Suho steps into the fight. But the wrestler is much stronger now. Suho is brutally beaten, and by the end of the fight, he lays lifeless on the floor. Beom-seok approaches him, filled with rage and insecurity. Asking Suho is to pity him and hits his head repeatedly. The others join in, continuing to beat Suho mercilessly, until he suddenly stops breathing. Beom-seok's gang members flee in fear. His father's security team arrives to clean up the scene, but Beom-seok, now horrified, clings to Suho, desperately calling his name, begging him to respond. Meanwhile, Young-yi and Si-eun search the location they were fought the last time, but Suho isn't there. The next day is the final exam, and Si-eun goes for the exam. After the exam, he receives a call from Young-yi, informing him that Suho is in a coma. A man had offered to pay for Suho's medical bills, and his grandmother signed a contract. They know immediately that Beom-seok did it. Meanwhile, back at home, Assemblyman Oh beats Beom-seok and threatens to kill him when he arrives in the Philippines. Young-yi and Si-eun visit Suho in the hospital, staying by his side until nightfall. The next day, as Si-eun leaves the hospital, he goes straight to find Young-bin at his school. After confronting and hitting Young-bin for information, Young-bin reluctantly shows him a video of the incident, revealing that he wasn't even present when the fight took place. Young-ye also confronts Beom-seok, who is on his way to school with Assemblyman Oh. Beom-seok refuses to meet her, so Oh calls him a coward. Beom-seok faces Young-yi, blaming her for ruining his friendships, insisting they were fine before she came into the picture. Despite knowing he's no match physically, Si-eun goes to the gym to face the boy who had been hired to fight Suho. He's overpowered at first, but remembers Suho's training. He fights back, using the boy's shoelace to strangle him and breaking his legs. Covered in blood, Si-eun staggers back to his school and, with a fire extinguisher in hand, attacks one of Beom-seok's gang members. Si-eun confronts Beom-seok, demanding to know why he did it. Beom-seok refuses to speak and asks that Si-eun hit him. Unable to bring himself to strike his friend, Si-eun shoves him aside and walks away, his heart torn. He returns to the hospital to stay with Suho, imagining a conversation with him, but it's only a dream. As time passes, Beom-seok is sent abroad to study. Young-yi, feeling responsible for the destruction of their friendship, apologizes and distances herself from them. She calls Suho's grandmother to check on his condition, but she never called Si-eun. Meanwhile, Assemblyman Oh attempts to have Si-eun sent to a juvenile home, but when Si-eun shows him the video of Beom-seok hitting Suho on the head, Oh backs off. Using his influence, however, he ensures that no school in Seoul will accept Seon, forcing him to attend a school on the outskirts of the city. His parents drive him to the new school, and just before he enters, his father reminds him that he did nothing wrong. At the new school, Seon encounters a class bully who attempts to intimidate him. With a cold stare, Seon taps his pen, showing that he's no longer afraid. The series ends, leaving the bully uncertain and Seon standing firm. Thank you for watching. Kindly like the video and subscribe for more recaps like this. See you next time.